What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mask of Fear Live. It's Tuesday night, getting started about 20 minutes late. It's been crazy around these parts. The good news, though, is it is more of a casual show. If you were a fan of the Fandom Empire days, this might be a show more down your alley. Um, Not really any segments. We might, you know, take a pass down another lane at some point during this episode and talk about something else, or we may not. I don't really know. But this is the Mask of Fear, and on tonight's episode, we are going to be ranking the different looks of Michael Myers, aka the Shape, in the 12 movies he appears in. One look representing each movie. And this will be a fun one, considering I still haven't completed my list yet. That's how crazy the day's been. But I've thought about this so much that I can wing my way through this. But I gave these two a little bit of a heads up notice so they could do a little bit of homework before coming on here. And didn't mean to do that. But yes, that's the topic and the focus tonight. Feel free to participate in the chat with us. Looking forward to it. And it's time to rank this would work better if this program didn't cause us issue after issue. I will say this, anyone considering Restream, it is definitely worth the decrease in price, considering StreamYards became just ridiculous on their price hike. Like, there's price hikes and then there's doubling your price. But yeah, I would say it's still worth pursuing other options, but that's just me. And let's do this though. Let's rank the different looks of Michael Myers. Like I said, this is going to be a casual episode. I'm multitasking as we do this, trying to get the ads out. And let's introduce the crew. First up, he's Mr. Fabulous Threesome himself. He could be getting busy, for all you know, because we can't see him. And, while it's not a PG show, there's certain things you can and cannot do on YouTube, and that's one of the things you cannot do. Johnny, what's going on?
Well, I'm not engaging in fabulous threesomes. I am, however, banging my head on my desk because in the course of from the time we finished pre-discussion to the pre-show to the theme song, I've lost audio in my left ear. So this is just a fantastic evening on this website. Camera's not working, no audio in my left ear. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful night. I'm happy to be here. So happy.
Also joining us, fresh off of his guest appearance on the third episode of Bannerman Banter, it's Mr. Giggity Giles himself. Randy, how's it going, man? Had one hell of a 35-minute discussion last night on Ahsoka Season 2. It really got me stoked, and then I had to remind myself, Well, yeah, we're rewatching season one, but season two still a long ways away. We're probably going to see a movie before we see season two.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of fun, especially given, like you said, we're doing the rewatch with season one, season two, obviously in the midst of filming and getting set for that 2026 release date. Obviously, Mando and Grogu's coming out first, but still, it's going to be. I hate to say that I have like super high expectations, but I guess it's just given the talk we had and the potential for what could be coming from season two. I guess it really did just kind of shoot my excitement through the roof a little bit too much, because we really do need to have tempered expectations, but it's kind of hard when there's all these really good possibilities that there could be bringing into canon from this series. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a hard wait, because I wish it would be coming out like next week or something. It'd be great if it was.
So we're going to be talking a lot of Halloween on this episode, just having some fun, doing some rankings. Audio has returned to the left ear. How long will it stay? Tune in next time on Dragon Ball Z. That was good. That was good. Better because I'm watching it with my little guy. So, we're going to be talking a lot of Halloween on this episode, but since we're already on the discussion of Ahsoka, and we have our episode 5 watch party that will be live tomorrow night on Patreon. I hope that those that subscribe for the Patreon come on over and check that episode out. It is a big one. Who knows? We might even do that one just live on YouTube, just because of how big of an episode it is, and then go back to Patreon for 6 and 7. But let me ask you this, Randy. I'll start with you, and I'll make my way to Johnny. We've been talking a lot of Ahsoka Season 2 because we're rewatching Ahsoka. We've also had discussions about how Starfighter has had far more marketing and push behind it than Mandalorian and Grogu. If you had to honestly choose right now, what are you more excited for? The Mandalorian and Grogu or Ahsoka Season 2? Because if you held a gun to my head and told me to say it, like, as much as I'm excited to see Star Wars in theaters, my answer is probably Ahsoka Season 2.
Yeah, for me right now, it's definitely Ahsoka Season 2, only because the story, how engaged I was with Season 1, and I can't even say it's recency bias because we're rewatching Season 1. It's really because they're characters I like, they're characters I'm invested in, the story itself I'm invested in. I want to see how Rory McCann does as Balin. Like, there's just all these little things that are adding up into just this one big just ball of excitement, to where I would rather see that first than Mando and Grogu. Not to say that I'm not excited for it, but where the hell's the trailer? I've seen the stuff that came out of Celebration. I've seen the stuff that came out of what just recently happened, and it's just, I want a real trailer. I don't, even if it's a teaser, give me something. But it feels like we're getting more news with Ahsoka and with Starfighter than we really are with Mando and Grogu, and it's kind of frustrating because that's coming out first.
Mr. Audio Guy, what do you think?
I mean, I think for me, it's easily Ahsoka. I think Mandalorian, it's a thing that for me, like, the last few seasons of Mandalorian and Grogu have sort of been diminishing returns. As far as like that story has gone. So I'm not as excited, even in the premise when it was announced, it was more of a, okay, that's nice, it's different, I have faith in Favreau and Filoni to deliver, but the more and more we've learned, and finding out that it was basically just a season of the TV series that they've chopped up to make a movie, has sort of, I don't want to say it's taken the wind out of my sails completely, but it's done a great job of that, because I'll find myself wondering what was left behind. throughout the course of the entire thing, which is something I don't inherently want. If I come out of this with questions, and inevitably I will. We all come out of pretty much every movie with questions. So I'll find myself wondering, were these questions that were answered in the season length version of this, or was this just something that kind of slipped through and they didn't realize would lead to questions? It's all that just sort of leads me to the fact that we're as close as we are now and still have nothing. We don't even have a possible date for a trailer. Like, there's just there's nothing to get the hype going for this. And Ahsoka, it certainly helps that we're doing a rewatch, absolutely. Maybe if we were doing like a season 1 Mandalorian rewatch, the pendulum might have swung a little bit the other way, because that was a great season and it was fresh and interesting and all that. So maybe it's definitely helped as far as the appetite. But season 1 of Ahsoka was already, to me, better than I'd say probably the last 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. So it was already going to be something I was more excited for. And then nothing's happening. Maybe once we lay eyes on the trailer, I'll get excited, because we'll actually get to see something. And, maybe the trailer will hook me. But until then, I don't really, it's a meh. It's on the schedule. It's kind of like a throwaway MCU movie for me. It's there. It's part of the schedule. It's something I'll watch, but it's not something I'm overly excited to rush out and see.
Well, your ass will be getting dragged out opening night, just so we're
well, I know that, but spoiler alert, it lasted this long. Audio's out in the left ear again.
Maybe it is your headset. I don't know. Who knows? It could be the program. It's not like it's an app. It's a website, right? So, like, you would think we would be experiencing some of these issues too. I
cycle the audio output in the settings and it fixes it. Like, I change it to a device that's not plugged in and then change it back to the one I'm using, and it fixes itself. So it's something in the settings. I don't know, but the audio's out in the left ear again.
Will Johnny ever make it off Snake Way? Find out next time on Dragon Ball.
At least I know how to fix the problem, so the audio only goes out for a few seconds.
All right. So the mission for today's show, because it's been a slow news week, we wanted to just sort of sit back and have some fun with this one, not be on for too long, but is to rank the different looks of Michael Myers, not just the masks, but the coveralls, just the whole getup, if you will. And believe it or not, it's hard to say. Sorry, it's hard to find high quality images from all the movies. But we're going to run through all the looks now in chronological order. And then we'll get into starting from our number 12 position and working our way up. So this is your traditional Michael Myers look from Halloween 78. Michael Myers from Halloween 2, 1981. Michael Myers from Halloween 4, the dream sequence, the best that masks looks of that movie, in my opinion. Halloween 5, Michael Myers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, these are supposed to be the same mask. Michael Myers, Halloween 6. And we have his H2O look, which leaves a lot to be one of the many in that movie, but went with the Stan Winston look that most people like. I don't know why, but then we went with the Resurrection look. Say what you want about the zombie movies, but Michael looks pretty badass in those. There's Michael from Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, and Michael from the dream sequence in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie. We got 2018 Michael Myers. Halloween Kills Michael Myers, which, by the way, this channel revealed the look before anybody else on the internet, period. And Halloween Ends Michael Myers. So we've gone through them all. I'm going to take a moment here. Before we get started, let me ask this. What was the first Halloween movie either of you seen? because a lot of people will go gravitate to that and be like, well, that's the true look of Michael Myers. But what was the first one that you guys can remember seeing, Randy?
So lucky for me, my dad liked horror movies for, well, more so for the TNA than he did the actual movie itself. But he would actually let me watch stuff like Friday the 13th and Halloween and whatnot. And the first Halloween movie I can remember seeing is 4.
I think for me, the one I remember seeing first, probably the first one. And I don't, there's nothing really inherently memorable about it. I think I probably saw it on, it might have been like TBS or something, but the first ones I remember like watching multiple times was 4 and 5, because I remember, it was one of the first fan expos I went to. One of the booths, I can't remember, whoever had the distribution for the movies at that time had a booth at the convention, and they had 4 and 5 on DVD, and I bought them, and I remember watching them a lot. So this would have been like 2005, 2006. I mean, I'd seen the others to that point, but those are the first ones that I had bought myself, with my own money. So I think they kind of hold a more memorable place in my experience, just because of that being the first ones I got to buy for myself and watch. And they didn't have the first one, which I always think is weird, but they had 4 and 5, so I bought them.
Are you muted, Sean?
I don't know. I have a feeling not. I feel like I heard Jade in the background there a bit before we started this topic, but fret not. We got the chat to keep us busy. Joel in chat says his first was Halloween when it premiered on HBO. Scared the hell out of my 10-year-old little mind. Maybe shouldn't have been watching it at 10 years old. Now, granted, I can't talk because I watched Child's Play for the first time at like 7, and guess who had a knockoff good guy doll that looked exactly like Chucky? This guy. Did not go over well for a while. I'll tell you that. Still have him. I think he's in my closet somewhere. Maybe I'll try and dig him out someday. And
is it a knockoff or is it a My Buddy?
I think it's a My Buddy, which like to me is a knockoff. It's like I don't remember them being a thing. Like, it was bought when I was a baby, so like 88. Which was around the same time as the movie. So and it looked just like Chucky did. Like, it had the hair, the Chucky face, the freckles, everything that looked like Chucky. So, like, you're not convincing 7-year-old me that's not Chucky.
I can understand that.
I wasn't looking at brand tags, because by that point, the original clothes had long since disappeared.
Yeah, Chucky was basically a combination of Teddy Ruxpin and My Buddy. So, and Teddy Ruxpin was scary as hell when the battery started to die and you're trying to play stuff in it. Sound like a demon coming out of the damn thing.
Yeah, never really had a Teddy Ruxpin in my house, which is weird because that is actually my brother's name. So like it seemed like something you would have had, but nobody ever got him one, which looking back, kind of weird.
It's interesting how, for us, due to our age, that we were able to see certain movies at a younger age than most, because now it's just like, nope, you can't see that, you're too young. Whereas back in the 80s, my dad was like, I don't care. Watch whatever you want.
We should have a running tally for the number of times the audio goes out in my left ear, because guess what? It's out again.
Tonight is just not your night.
Yeah. Okay. audio back. Let's see. Dustin in the chat says was exposed to Jaws at 9, and still, anytime I get in the pool, I think he could be in there somewhere. Spawned a lifelong love of that movie after the drama.
I'm right there with you, man. There's always that innate fear, like getting in the pool, getting in the water. Doesn't matter if it's a lake. It's like, I'm going to see a fin coming soon, aren't I? So yes, that Jaws definitely caused some problems.
By the time I saw Jaws, I had the innate knowledge that sharks were ocean-based things. So like, I've never been in the ocean, so I've never had that innate fear of him. Now, crocodiles, another story, because those things are not ocean-based, and I swam in rivers as a child. That could easily have eaten me. Now, granted, I'm in Canada, so it's like we don't really have crocodiles, but still, or alligators for that matter. But still, that one was a little more up my alley. Turtles were the thing I was afraid of, because we had a big one in the river at our cottage when I was a kid. Oh boy, saw that thing snap its teeth one time. Like, no, thank you. Stay away from me.
Yeah, they can be a little bit nasty, to say the least. But yeah, I can see you not wanting to visit Florida anytime soon just because gators are everywhere.
Well, I'm a grown man now, so it's not as big a deal. But, you know, yeah. Okay, so Sean is stepping away. He has some personal stuff he has to deal with. So Randy and I are gonna hold down the fort here while he's gone. Randy, if you're okay with it, I'll take over, kind of hosting.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're okay. All right, so we're gonna get down into the business. We are going to start with our number 12s, respectively. If you're in the chat and want to drop them for us, Sean, if you can, that's great. We'll keep your list updated as we go along. But otherwise, Randy and I'll hold down the fort. I'll start it off. Number 12, easy for me. It's Halloween 5. It's terrible. There's absolutely nothing good about this mask. The eyes are ridiculously large. Like, it just... I don't know, man. It looks like they were filming and forgot the mask and just pulled something off the rack at whatever was Spirit Halloween in 1986 or whenever they made this movie. You know, like, it's just terrible.
I can't disagree with you on that. And obviously, because of the mask, the overall look and feel of Michael, it's not intimidating, because that's what you expect out of Michael Myers, is intimidation. For me, my number 12 was Resurrection, just because the eyebrows alone just see, the picture you sent us, Sean, made it look a lot worse than that. So when you put that up, I was like, man, now I kind of feel bad. But no, I'll stick with it just because I put it on the list there. I'm not going to change it. I just felt like, if you guys had seen the picture he shared in the chat with us to get us to do our little homework assignment, the eyebrows are a lot more pronounced in that picture, and that kind of threw me off, because we've always seen him not have any eyebrows. Everything's always been painted over. So plus, I always have an issue of with being able to see the eyes. That was always a big thing for me. Being able to see the eyes really always threw me off a little bit. I always felt like there should have been black. Just if it was straight black like we'd seen in previous movies, I think it probably wouldn't be this low for me.
Yeah, to move on to Sean put his in the chat. His 12 is also Halloween 5. So that's pretty close to consensus here. But this is going to bring me to my number 11, which is the Resurrection Mask. Randy, you're absolutely right. The picture Sean sent us in the chat for reference this afternoon, vastly different than this. Still does not improve my rankings, but the picture he sent, if you know the movie well, it's one of the ones where Michael's in front of the house. It just, it looks ridiculous. And my immediate thought when I saw the picture and I was doing the rankings was, why is Damien from The Mask in Halloween? Because that's all I could see. Like, I don't know if you remember, like, when he puts on the mask at the end and he's the villain and it's the evil mask. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
That's all I could think of when we were doing the rankings, but I couldn't put it in last because 5 was just that bad for me. 11 is Resurrection as well for Sean. So far, we're on the same page. Randy, what's your 11?
My 11 is actually 5 for the reasons you stated, that it doesn't look like Michael. It's not in any way, shape, or form intimidating. Yeah, you have the blacked out eyes, but the problem is it looks like they just didn't spend any type of time with it whatsoever. So it really just takes you out of it just for that reason alone.
I think Dustin is realizing what I said is exactly accurate for the Resurrection Mask. All right, so that moves us to number 10, which for me, H2O. H2O is my 10th mask. Like, I can't. The eyes are way too big. Like, it just, you can see too much of the man behind the mask with the eyes this big, and it's just not as intimidating. Like, this looks like the mask the kids would wear to pretend to be Michael to try and scare you from Michael. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not intimidating. It's not scary. And this is going to be a combination thing for me, but the flared collars, I hate flared collars just in general. I just think they look ridiculous, but this is the one that's the most egregious with that for me, because you've got what appears to be like a double flared collar going on here, and I just as Dustin in the chat, that forehead is way too big. Like, it's not even it's a 20 head. Like, it's like they took every year since the first Halloween and added an inch to the forehead. It's awful. Like, it's, I don't know. Sean and I are sharing a list right now because his is also H2O. I just yuck with this one.
Yeah. This is one of the ones we're all going to agree on. It's for 10. This one as well for me. Just the look. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not Michael Myers, it's Derp Myers, because that's the look on his face. That's the look that he gets with the mask. It's just bad. Now I get, at the time it's like, cool. Oh, look, he's back for the 20th anniversary. Yeah, unfortunately, you let us see his eyes, and that's not Michael Myers. It's just not. And I guess that they used it as a plot device for the end of the movie, but that still doesn't change the fact it's just an overall bad look. He just didn't look good as Michael Myers. It didn't give me that, oh crap, I need to run, I'm gonna die. This was the who is this Joker? Is it still Halloween? Because clearly that's pretty much the type of costume you'd see someone wearing on Halloween.
Yeah, it's oof. All right, now we're moving into the number 9 spot, which is for me where we have the first of the Rob Zombie masks. My number 9 is the Rob Zombie 1 mask. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I just, like, for me, feel like they went a little too far with, like, the matting and sort of, like, with the hair. It just doesn't quite have the same effect for me as some of the other masks we'll get to. Like, it's not bad. I don't inherently. I think the mask was probably the best part of the Rob Zombie films, if I'm going to be honest. But this one just sort of, I don't know. It feels like they powdered the hair a little too much, especially in this shot. And it just kind of, takes me out of it a little. Not to say that it's a bad look or anything. It just, it's scary. It has all the things, like with the scarring and the rips and all that. It has all the things you'd want from a Myers mask. It just, something about it just doesn't do it for me, and that pushes it down this list as far as it is.
So for me, we'll stick with Rob Zombie, but for me, it's going to be the Halloween 2 mask, Rob Zombie, for my number 9. Just because, not because of like the screenshot that we have here, we're going to have here. It's overall because if you think about how the look itself was utilized in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, it really it took a lot out because he's cloaked most of it. There's times when you see his face. There's times when the mask is ripped and you see half his face, half the mask. Like there are, really just I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. Just for that reason. See, like here, it actually looks intimidating, looks cool, but obviously as we get further on in the movie, he's walking around in a cloak and he's got half a mask, and we see his eyes, and it's nothing against Tyler Mane for what he did, but I just feel like overall, by the end of the movie, the look just wasn't there for me. And that's why this is at my number 9.
That's fair. That's fair. Sean's number 9 was Halloween 2. The mask didn't sit well on Dick Warlock for him. I definitely don't think this was the reference pick he sent us this afternoon, or this might have had a very different ranking for me.
I agree.
But spoiler alert, that means H2 is much higher on this list for me. But that's partly because of like I said, if this had been the reference photo, I might have had a very different ranking. Because I didn't remember this particular scene or this look or this moment, and obviously didn't have time to go back and rewatch, so it's kind of stuck with the references and the memories. All right, we're to number 8, which for me, this is the first mask from the modern trilogy. For me, it's Ends. At number 8, I like it in that it's different, with the burning actually and melting. All of it makes it look like you would expect, but it just overall, like, it's the whole look. I just haggard old man Michael, to me, it probably is more in relation to the film than the look. Like with all of it, he didn't have that aura as much, especially leading up to the end and how the story ended and all of those things. It just kind of dropped this down for me. So it ends. It's an overall, it's an everything. And again, as I stated last time, I have an extreme disdain for the flared collar. And look at that thing. Like,
that movie was made for you, Johnny.
Randy, was your 8?
So my 8 was actually 6. Part of it's obviously I'm not a huge fan of the movie itself, but also just the overall presence that Michael had, because we all know, like with the Cult of the Thorn stuff, it didn't work for me. I felt like, obviously this picture is a little bit different than the one we saw earlier, but because this dude looks like almost like roided up. His face looks like he's roided up Michael versus the other picture we saw earlier. But yeah, it's just it didn't do it for me, like, because I think part of it has to do with just the way the film was shot and some of the lack of shadowing at points in times where it just didn't really help build the character to like what I would expect out of Michael Myers. So the overall, instead of the mask, more or less, it's over the overall look and the feel that Michael gave in this particular film. That's why he's ranked where he is for me on this one.
That's fair. All right.
I'm good. I'll do this. I don't know what I'm good, but here we go. What are we at? 8?
Mm-hmm.
8. So yeah, Halloween Ends for me, and it's weird because Halloween Kills is significantly higher on my list. And when you think about the events of Halloween Kills, there's nothing that happens in that movie that should really alter the mask. Like, I'll bring up Kills here for a second. This is Kills. This is Eds. There's the fire at the beginning of Kills, but this ends up being the result from that. This is the result of, I guess, 4 more years of weathering. Like, I guess he decided to shave half his skull in that time too, and like, I don't know. It Haggard Michael fits the story they tell in that movie, even though I don't like it. But I almost feel dirty having this at number 8.
That's fair. All right, number 7. For me, it's Kills. I know that's a little higher than you'd think, but it just, again, something about this look to me, I just didn't. It didn't appeal to me as well as some of the other looks. I feel like, and this is just a me thing and a Piggy thing, is that this mask in this film did a much deeper job of accentuating the neck of Michael. Like to me, that was kind of a more negative thing. I don't know. Like it just, my eyes went to there more than I would like. In part, it's the detail of the burn, around the side of the neck and into the, into the front of the throat area. And, again, I've said it and I'll say it again, probably several more times. I hate the flared collar. I hate it. He's not the Fonz. It doesn't, I don't like it. I never have. But this one, just like I said, it drew my attention to the neck more often, and seeing that neck skin, just, I don't know. I didn't like it. I don't like where my eyes go with this mask, and it's to the neck. Like, and I know that's just a weird thing for me, but like, from the chin up, I think it looks fantastic. But from the chin down, it just yuck. I don't like it at all, and that's what drags it down to this sort of mid ranking. Randy?
So for me, number 7 is Ends. A lot of the reasons you guys mentioned already, but also when you going back and forth between the two masks from Ends and Kills, and you sit there and you're just like, wow, 4 years, a lot of stress on you, huh, Michael? Because got the receding hairline going, you got the wrinkles showing that much more. I mean, it was just whatever they did everything humanly possible to make Michael Myers look like the least intimidating villain in any movie. It's ridiculous, and I'm sure there was a reason behind it. Maybe it was to, I don't know, just make him look weak on purpose, so that when the end happened, when with everything that happens to him, it makes it more feasible. I don't know. It's bad enough we had some senior citizen abuse in that with what happened to him, but still, this mask, this look, it's just not Michael. It's too weak. I mean, should it be lower on my list? Maybe, but at this point, it's at 7, and that's where it's going to be for now.
Sean?
7 for me is Rob Zombie's first mask. I don't think it's a bad spot for it, but I don't like it as much as the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 look, I should say, not just mask. Simply because I know Randy was talking about, how he looks like a hobo later in the film, but I made a point of saying that when I look at the quintessential Michael Myers look from Rob Zombie Halloween 2, for me it's the dream sequence, which is why I used this mask in both of our reference photo and here. Different photos, but same sequence anyway, where I kind of agree with what Johnny was saying with the powdered hair look earlier on, and how decently well kept the mask was after being buried under floorboards for however many fucking years it was between when he's a kid and when he breaks out there at the end. And the coveralls look a little better in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because they've been through more wear and tear than in the first movie.
So I think that's a wonderful segue into my number 6, which is the Rob Zombie 2 mask. A lot of the things Randy talked about, the looks, I actually liked. I liked the way the mask sort of, got wrecked and destroyed and weathered and worn and, and destroyed throughout the course of the film, because it was that, like you got to see damage. You got to see Michael play out throughout the course of the film, which you hadn't really seen. It did a much better job of making Michael man, instead of myth. And I liked the look. Like Sean said, the coveralls I think look fantastic in this movie. Like you don't have like you have the back of the collar flared, but like the front looks more normal. Which again, if you've listened to any of this, that is a very nitpicky thing that I have about the Michael outfit is the collar. But this one I think looks fantastic. In that it actually looks worn. Like the more you wear a coverall or a shirt like this, it wears at the collar like that, and it flips and flops, and you can see that just looking at this picture. And I like, as crazy as it is, that zippered look in there. I think looks because it looks real. Like you can see the sort of path that Michael has taken. Like he doesn't look like Tommy in the chat said, he needs to walk through a car wash. I'd rather prefer Michael not looking like he just walked through a car wash, which in some of the other films is sort of a thing you get because like no matter what happens, the outfit stays relatively pristine. But this one is the exact opposite. You get to see all the wear and tear through the course of the story and from the previous film, and the deterioration of the mask is a big part of that. And I like it. I like seeing the man behind the mask peek through at the different points, which is why I like this outfit better. And the powdering effect from the first film isn't quite as pronounced in this one because it's been worn. It hasn't been, like Sean said, sitting under a floorboard for 40 years. It's been in use. It's been sort of, aired out a little, so it doesn't, it has that old weathered look, but it doesn't look like you just took it out of storage, which is why it brings it to this point and puts it, in the top half of my list. Randy?
So I only based this off of the pictures that Sean sent us earlier. My number 6 is 81 because the picture that he sent us for 81 actually looks good versus this where I'm just going, yeah, if I'd seen this, it would have been a lot lower. This look would have been a lot lower on my list. You should have gone with this one, Sean, because it really would have been, it would have been completely changed my list probably. But since I'm going off of what the picture that you sent us, it was an overall, it was like the use of shadow in the picture, kind of for the look itself. It did a really good job of just making Michael feel like Michael versus some of the other stuff we've seen where it's just you look at the mask and you laugh because you're like, that's just some dumbass trick-or-treater thinking he's going to be cool pulling off the Michael Myers look, and he failed miserably. Whereas in certain shots in 2, obviously not this one here, it doesn't look bad. It's not the best, it's not great, but it's enough to where there is some form of intimidation there, and you do kind of feel like you need to get moving when he's around. Like I said, other ones it doesn't have that really doesn't have a lot of that. But that's where this for me lands on number 6, more or less, because I just took one shot and looked at it, was like, yeah, this one doesn't look bad. This look doesn't look bad, and I see this and I'm like, damn it, I got punked.
I feel you on all of those reasons. Sean, what's yours?
6 for 6, Halloween 6. Randy kind of said it earlier. He kind of looks like he's on steroids in this movie, and the way he walks too. There's this one moment where he's walking across the street, and he's chasing Tommy, and I can't remember the girl's name. Someone in the chat can help me out. And you would swear he's doing an imitation of the Vince McMahon walk.
Now I have to go back and watch this.
I'll admit I've forgotten that until you mention it. Now that you mention it, I remember it mostly because we watched it a few years ago, I think, wasn't it? We did a watch along.
We watched it 6. Yes, we did. We did one on the channel. Yes.
Was that the one when Tommy came up?
I don't remember. We did.
I remember we did a watch with Tommy when he was up here, but I can't remember which one it was. I know it was one of the middle ones.
Oh, we were outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's somewhere on the channel.
That's true. Go back, look it up, see which one it was. I think we did 6 on the channel, so it's there too, I guess. It wasn't back in the Facebook days. That's taking us back. All right. It's number 5 for me. It's the Halloween 2018 look. We're at the point where it's not any sort of specific bad things or negatives. This one sort of has some of the issues that the Rob Zombie 1 mask has in its aged and weathered look, which again makes sense. It's been locked up in an evidence locker for 30 plus years at this point. So yeah, okay, that tracks. But it just sort of knocks it down a few pegs. Again, this one draws my attention to especially in this photo, the neck is very prominent. But overall, we're at the point in the list where it's nitpicky things, right? It's not, inherent negatives or bads. It's just negative 1 point here, negative 1 point there, and that sort of breaks down the list. And that's what you get from this. I feel like the trilogy, I don't know, it just, I don't know if it's that, the shape of the mask hasn't changed, but the person wearing it has. And damn, Jade is on top of it. Just sent me the link to the video for our 6 watch along, which we did on the channel. And I completely lost my train here, but it's little nitpicky things, right? And it just brings it down here. It's not a bad look. I don't hate it. I like it. It just, one negative point here, one negative point there, and that ends up with this movie in the 5 spot.
So yeah, so for me, number 5 is going to be Halloween 4. Part of that obviously is going to be the fact that it is the first Halloween movie I've seen. It's also one of my favorites, but also, just this is one of those looks that kind of stuck with me a little bit. Even though, yeah, the mask itself was a little too white for what it should have been, but ultimately, just like the look and feel of Michael in this movie really gave, especially since it's his first time back since, Season of the Witch, skipping over him. But still, the feel that, there was that intimidation factor with this that kind of really stuck out with me. The way he walked, it's not like, a Michael trying to do the Vince McMahon walk across the street, but he stalked very well. But yeah, that I think overall, and Johnny, you should be happy his neck's not hanging out, because clearly that's your big sticking point tonight.
It is one of my bugaboos.
But yeah, that's all I got for this one. It's because it's one of my favorites and my favorite movies out of the series, and it's really just he is intimidating in this one, which helps. The overall look helps.
Sean?
I'm going with Halloween 2018 at number 5. It's not a bad thing. Looks good. When it first came out, I think I probably had it ranked much higher. Now, recency bias is gone. It was the closest thing we had to the original when it came out, but there are ones that I think are better than this.
Definitely all fair. I opened that video during that just to see what it was. That was a studio watch along with you, me, and Kieran, and Tommy and Matt joined us by remote. That was the one I brought pizza, because you can see me opening a pizza box very early in it, and that was the only time we did that. All right, number 4 for me is H6. I don't know, it's. Again, this is one of those things where it's the reference pictures that we got today, because we didn't have time to go back and watch them. This was the reference pictures on set, but I like the look, the bulky, this is sort of the look that most captures the aura of Michael, the larger than life, which was definitely something that this, sort of, that this trilogy within the saga was more focused on, right, was the larger than life, bigger aspect of Michael, and I think this look captures it. The mask doesn't really take away anything from me. There's no points lost for it. Everything fits. Like even the coveralls fit. Like the bigger, bulkier look, they look like they fit more, and it all around, I think, is a better look, which is what propels it to forward. It's the little things. I like the bigger, bulkier look. It looks larger than life, and I mean, again, it could just be this photo that's helping with that. Capturing it from this angle that helps it, but it helps all around. You get the larger than life feel for Michael, and for sort of that middle era, for me anyway, this I like this mask. It's not my favorite. Obviously, we still have another part of that trilogy that ranks higher, but overall, I like this look. Randy, what's your 4?
Okay, so for me, I think some of these are a little more, I wouldn't say recency bias, but these are kind of like when I started watching the movies a little bit more than I had before. So for me, my number 4 is actually Kills, just for the sheer fact that he does look a little more intimidating in this. There is that, even though, yes, it's kind of has the burn on it, but it's just, taking the mask from Kills and just kind of altering it a little bit, not Kills, the 2018, I'll get it out right. Taking a little bit from this and just kind of weathering it a little bit more and giving that burn, just having that burn on there. This movie, his overall presence, his overall feel in this movie, the mask and the way he's dressed, he felt like a wild animal. And
Wait, I'm confused. Is it 2018 or Kills?
No, it's Kills. I'm saying because of how they took the mask from 2018 and how they kind of weathered it down and kind of gave it that with the burn. And I was saying that's with the overall look he had. I don't care about the collar or the neck. For me, it was just, he felt like just kind of like an enraged animal, and the look matched the way he walked, the way he was just taking people out left and right. Especially that one mob scene where he just absolutely annihilates everybody. This look matched that feel, and that's kind of why that this ended up being my number 4. Is for that very reason, is the look matched the feel of Michael in the movie.
Sean?
Making sure I'm doing this right. All right, so yes, my number 4 is the original. I've told the story on the channel a bunch over the years. First time I ever seen Halloween, I got to see 1, 2, and 4 in the same night. And 1 for me wasn't so much about Michael Myers. It was about this mysterious, crazy doctor who, I'd had it hyped up to me for like a year. Dr. Loomis, Dr. Loomis, Dr. Loomis this, Dr. Loomis that. That Halloween 1 was more about, I remember seeing the movie just being like, where the fuck is Loomis? Like, find him. And Michael's look, like his presence in the movie is creepy. But even at the young age of, I want to say I was 12, I didn't find Michael's look scary because it's the traditional Nick Castle look. I have it listed at 4. I almost had it listed at 6.
Wow. All right, so we are now into the podiums. And for me, again, as Randy stated earlier, this is not necessarily a thing about the reference photos that we got sent, but definitely played a factor in this ranking. But for me, it's 2. Because again, the image we got sent is vastly different than this one. It's one of the reference photo we got was one in the hospital room, like the room with the bed in the foreground and the open door in the background, and it's a much differently lit shot with only half the mask being well lit and the other half not. not the crying blood shot you have in front of you. So vastly different. Based on this mask, we would have heard this one not necessarily a long time ago, but it definitely would have been heard before that. But the image we got sent for reference that we use, which is mostly a lot of which what I pulled from, plus memory tucked in there as well. Put this one at number 3, which, as Randy said, if we'd have got this particular reference shot, would have been a lot lower.
Randy, what's your 3? So for me, 2018 is my number 3. Again, more or less because of recency bias for me. As we all know, Friday the 13th is my favorite slasher movie series. And I've grown more and more into liking the Halloween series as I've watched them more. But given how much hype was behind it and the fact that the look was so well done, and it did kind of harken back to the original in a lot of ways, and just the overall presence of Michael in this film really helped for me solidify it for me as my number 3. Yeah, everything you guys have said about the mask is true, and the overall look, again, I know, for you, Johnny, the neck showing and the collar up and everything is bugging the hell out of you, but for the most part, it's only a single shot here. And I'm assuming if we watch the entire movie, you don't really see this, but so much. So, but yeah, this is number 3 for me. Just again, I think it's more or less recency bias rather than sitting down and watching the movies and really kind of taking it all in as a whole.
Definitely fair. Sean?
My number 3 is Halloween 4. And let me specify this. This mask looks like absolute ass for 90% of this movie. However, the main actor that portrays Michael in this movie is not the actor that you see on screen during the dream sequence. And during that dream sequence, that was the first time that night, watching 3 consecutive Halloween movies back to back to back, where I went, I knew it's much later at night too, and I want to say it was thundering out, and it was thundering in the movie, obviously, during that dream sequence, and you just get the subtle flashes. Like, they do a very good job of not keeping it lit too long. That dream sequence, which lasts, maybe 30 seconds, had they able to preserve that look for the entire movie, I think it would have been more effective. Obviously, a different actor, but this is the quintessential Halloween 4 look for me. Best Halloween movie ever made, for those that are wondering, at least in my opinion. Yeah, this one.
I mean, the segue is wonderful because for most of the reasons you just said, this is my number 2. It just, I don't know. There's something, like I said earlier, off the top before we got to the lists, this is the movie that sort of resonates with me most because it was, the first one I got to buy for myself. And watch a bunch of times, so it resonates more from that. It just again, this is in parts memory mixed with reference photos that we got today, and the memories are strong from this movie, and the reference photos we got, which again, this is a different one than the one he sent us, but it's still it's the Michael of your memories. It's the Michael you think of. It's quintessential. It's what I want it to look like, and it captures all of that. And all of the things that are, like my bugaboos and other things work well in here. Like, this photo here, flared collar, but it works. With this outfit, it works. I like it. Just, the sunken look of the eyes. You don't actually see the eyes behind the mask. I like, specifically in these photos, in these moments, the memories, I like it. The hair is a little for me, but, that's the negative. everything else I like. I like the look. And it fits. It all works for me. So that is why this one is my number 2. Randy?
Okay, so
Hang on a moment. Quit it with the reference photo stuff. The reference photo you guys got for Halloween 4
No,
is
I'm not saying.
literally from the exact same dream
I'm not
sequence
saying.
with the
Yeah,
exact
I know
same
that.
lighting.
I know that. That's why for this one, I'm saying that it's different than the one you sent us. Just
I'll
for
give you the Halloween 2 complaint one. That one.
no. There's no. If it sounded like I was complaining about this being a difference, there's not, because you're right. It's very obviously the same exact sequence, same lighting, same everything, which is why it's so high up. Like this one, I actually prefer the one you sent as far as reference photos go to this one. Like the one earlier that you sent us earlier, I prefer to this one. Because it sort of accentuates the positives a little more than this one does. So, I don't know. Maybe it's the baby in the background that's throwing me off of this photo. But, no, yeah.
All right, so for me, number 2 ended up being Ram Zombie's Halloween, the first one. Again, this was one of the first. This is actually one of the first movies that I actually, when I started getting back into really watching Halloween. This is something that Matt and I went to the theaters to see, and then obviously when it ended up on TV, I watched it. I've watched it quite a few times. For me, it's about more or less the presence that Tyler Mane gives off as Michael. That his body language, even when they zoom in on the eyes, like just overall, he seems to be really good with being a physical actor in terms of the angles and just showing intimidation without having to say anything or make a noise. Like there's always those things that kind of stick out to me, especially in any horror movie, especially when you look at the different slasher films we have out there where you have a voiceless killer. But it's the overall look. Yeah, I agree. The overalls could be a little more lived in, and the hair could be not as powdery as you guys put it, but ultimately the look, the feel, the presence of this particular Michael Myers, that's the reason why he's my number 2.
I'm going to jump in the chat here for a second, man, and address something. Where is it here? Horror movie lover Sean on last night's show. I thought I heard you say you're going to talk about what footage will be shown for the Halloween game in October. Is that right? Well, I don't know when. I don't know when in October that will be released, but it has been indicated to me and others that we will get footage of the story mode specifically in October. That, I believe, is the plan. I don't know if there's any gaming events that are set for October. If there is, I wouldn't be shocked. Are the Game Awards in October?
They're usually December.
Okay, well, all I know is there's something planned for October. Who knows with the way they're doing this, right? Like, Halloween Portal has been a absolute cesspool of nothing for over a year and is a horribly outdated website that looks like it was made with fucking GeoCities. And all of a sudden, we all get an update that we're going to get stuff about the game. And to my knowledge, 24 hours before that, the sooner we were going to get knowledge about the game was going to be in October. And since then, it's been just a plethora of content that has been released, whether it's from Elphonic or Compass or Halloween Portal, Game Informer, pardon me. A bunch of different places have had info on this, and a lot of it, frankly, has been overlooked by a lot of people. But as far as I know, there is more game stuff coming in October, and they're much further along in the development process than people thought for this game.
Quickly pulling up a quick Google search for video game events in October. The most likely one I'd bet on would be G2E, the Global Gaming Expo, in the first week of October 6th through October 9th. That's in Las Vegas. That'd be my guess.
What date does Halloween fall on? Is it a weekday?
I want to say it's Friday.
Then I could also see it dropping then. So
That
we'll see,
I will
though.
say this, that as a possibility, that does make sense. That is in the heart of Gamescom Asia, which is October 30th through November 2nd in Singapore. So it would make sense having the first bit drop during Gamescom and then the next also at a Gamescom. So a little symmetry there.
Yeah, I am curious to see what they're going to show. Like, we've been told that it's going to be from the story mode, which makes sense because we've all seen so much from fucking asymmetrical stuff. They're really building up the story mode, but we'll have to stay tuned and get ready to talk about it the closer we get to it. And if we get anything before that, we'll be sure to share it with everyone.
Did we get your two, Sean?
Oh, I didn't know it was my go.
I think I didn't jump you, did I, Randy?
Is
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't think so.
is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from, again, the dream sequence. Halloween dream sequences. They nail the look, that's for sure. And I loved everything about this. I loved the panting as he's butchering the nurse, and when he kills poor Buddy. Oh, poor Buddy. Honestly, again, not the biggest fan of this movie, but this look here is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, all stuff I said earlier. Number one's time. This is our look. The look. If you've been paying attention, I'm sure you can figure it out based on what we haven't said yet, each of us respectively. But for me, my number one is the OG. It's Halloween '78. I'd say that's a solid 90% nostalgia. And 10% the general look. Like I like the way that it so clearly is what it was. You spent time the first time you've seen it sort of before the internet and before learning these things, questioning the mask and wondering why does it look familiar? Why does it look like something I've seen before? And eventually you learn that it's just a William Shatner mask that they painted and changed around, and all great stuff. But like, it's the look. This is the look that haunted you when you first saw it. It's the OG. It's the first one you saw. It is, to me, it is the best because it captures everything, and that's, mostly down to John Carpenter, if we're going to be honest. It captures the aura of Michael, the atmosphere of Michael, the look of Michael, all of those things wrapped up into one that make this my number one Michael Myers look, because everything about it to me is perfect. From the coveralls, from head to toe, everything about it looks good. From the boots to the coveralls to the mask to the hair, everything about it to me looks perfect. And when I draw an image of Michael in my mind, this is it. When we talk about Mike, this is the look in my mind always. So that's why it's the number one. It's the OG, and it's my favorite.
So my number one is the same one. It's very rare when we agree on anything, Johnny. So it's quite a surprise. I'm not going to try to add on to but too much, considering you said a lot. But for me, it is the embodiment of Michael Myers. Obviously, it's what he was meant to be. Without the start here, with such a great horror film in general. We don't get a shot at some of these other looks that some are really good, some are just downright awful, but it always comes back to the original. And the fact that that's why I said, like, one of the things I always liked about the original is the use of the shadows and how the look fit into using those lighting tricks to kind of help bring out the suspense and the intimidation and that anxiety of just wondering where he is. And I mean, it's kind of hard. That's why I said it's hard to pass up the original when it comes to that sort of thing. So that's why that's my number one.
Sean?
My number one's Halloween Kills. Said it for a long time. I believe Halloween Kills is the quintessential Michael Myers movie. he's the star. You get him in the flashback, you get him in current time. I wish they didn't show as much of the firefighter scene in the marketing. They really kind of blew that scene on the marketing. But it's Michael all the time. It's Michael at his baddest. And considering where he ends up in Halloween Ends, I'll take this Michael Myers over all the Michael Myers that we see. Halloween Kills for me. And there's a little bit of bias there because we literally revealed this look to the world. So,
well, that is it for our lists. If you haven't been in the chat live and you're watching us on the Rebound, post your lists in the comments down below. Tell us what your order ranking is of the masks 1 through 12.
So that is going to do it for this show. Sorry, we would stick around longer, but things going on behind the scenes over at my place. So, thanks for everybody for coming out. It was a fun little show. Thanks to Johnny for really carrying it there. I appreciate it. And tomorrow night, we're feeling giving, so we are going to do the Star Wars Ahsoka Season 1, Episode 5 watch party live on the YouTube channel before going back to Patreon for Episodes 6 and 7. You'll be able to catch us live tomorrow night right here on the channel at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And it's a big one. If you don't remember what what Episode 5 is, that is your Anakin-centric episode for Ahsoka Season 1. Johnny, where can everybody find you, man?
Oh, man, you can find me here, there, and everywhere. But before we go, we'd be remiss if we didn't take a moment to thank our sponsors. I don't think we hit that off the top, but we can't. Without them, there is no us. So big thanks to everybody over at patreon.com/The Mask of Fear, Backtrack Cinema, Jesse Storytime Spectacular, and Call of Nation. All you guys, you're amazing. The quality of stuff you guys put out is great. Great people, great stuff. If you're not following them, do that. And everyone else over at patreon.com/Mask of Fear. Like we said, without you guys, there is no us. We appreciate each and every one of you. We love each and every one of you. And if you want to join that crew over there, head over to patreon.com/The Mask of Fear and join in at one of the varying tiers and get exclusive content exclusively available to that tier.
The other thing I want to plug is there will not be a Bannerman Banter episode next Monday. Zach and I are going to hold off because it's a big one. We're going to do it essentially 13 days from now. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you are going to want to tune in to that one because it's Season 7, Episode 4, The Spoils of War, in our Gauntlet of Thrones matchup, which is where the Dothraki and Drogon finally end up in Westeros, and they attack the Lannister army. Just a legendary episode that took 7 years in the making. And it's taking on Season 1, Episode 9, Baelor, a.k.a. the end of Ned Stark. I looked at Zach and I said, this is what you get when you trust ChatGPT and friggin' AI. They're trying to give us all these blockbuster matchups right out of the gate.
That's a heavy episode right there. Damn.
Yeah. We're probably gonna. I don't know. I know what way I'm leaning, and I have a hunch what way he's leaning, and we might need some tiebreaker help on that one. So, tune into Bannerman Banter in about 13 days' time, and we'll see what the Mask of Fear has next week. Randy, where can everybody find you at, man? I think you're getting busier at this time of year.
Yep. You can find me over on X at Giggity Giles. Obviously, you can find me here every Tuesday night, and kind of like last night, you can find me popping up every so often, making special appearances on Bannerman Banter on Mondays. Tonight, actually, I'm pulling double duty because tonight we are going to, with week 1 of the NFL in the books, the Sports Brew is going to be recording tonight, and the episode should be out within the next couple of days. So if you like sports, if you like listening to people talk shit, give each other hell, and just pop culture references on top of drinking, just Google Sports and Brew, and you should find the page, no problem.
All right, that's going to do it for us, and we will see each and every one of you in the next video.